Hello and welcome to Walailak University Global Program. As indicated, this program is to share information on advancement at Walailak University in the area of research collaboration and research initiatives. In particular, we focus very heavily on our research collaborations and other areas of collaboration with international institutions. We work very hard at this university to make sure that research works that have been produced at these universities are widely shared with international community. And one of the best things that has happened on this program is we always have international academics, scholars coming through to share their research initiative, research work, and to be kind enough to share their expertise with our academic. And today, we have a great opportunity to talk to Professor Geoff Millward, Emeritus Professor in Marine and Environmental Science from Plymouth University in the United Kingdom. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for appearing on the program. And I would like to begin asking questions about your experience as a professor in this area, how it all started.
Well, it started in a different subject area. I was trained in high temperature gas kinetics. It was to do with propulsion of rockets. It was a long time ago. I went to the States, and in the States I did some additional work on that topic. But eventually I went to Cornell University in the States, where I listened to a lecture by a guy who was an astronaut, Scott Carpenter. I don't know if you remember him, but he flipped around the Earth several times. And he came down to Earth, and from being an astronaut, he became an aquanaut. So he persuaded people to go from outer space into inner space. And that's why I eventually then left the States and went back to the UK, went to Southampton University and did oceanography. And that then brought me into the marine field. After doing that master's course, I got the job in Plymouth, and I've been there ever since, doing work on a variety of marine topics.
For how many years so far?
In Plymouth?
In Plymouth.
It's about 40 now,
40
I'm
years.
afraid to say.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
It's a long time.
And it's very fascinating to see, to come across people like you who has dedicated all his or her own life to research, making a lot of contributions to the scientific community. Would like you to highlight or to pinpoint some of the key areas or key works that you think you have done and has contributed to a better new understanding of our environment or scientific community. Can you say something about that, please?
Well, I worked for many years in estuaries. I've done some pretty advanced work on trace metal behavior in estuaries, particularly in a local estuary, the Tamar estuary, which was contaminated by mine waste. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of copper mining that went on there, lead mining and so on. And of course that affects the water supplies and the livelihoods of people in the vicinity of these mines. But more recently, the Vice-Chancellor of the university invested in a radioactivity laboratory. So it was over £1 million of investment, so it's a very significant change. And that was because there's a lot of concern within the country about the development of nuclear power and the implications that has for the environment. So that's what we are tending to do at the moment. And from that point of view, we've also been working with, across the world actually, with people on the cryoconite story. if I can use that scientific term. But this is a particle that you find on glaciers, which is very, very radioactivity. And what it's doing is falling out of the atmosphere, and as it comes through the stratosphere, it's scavenging out radioactive contaminants like cesium-137 and lead-210 and so on.
So it's come from the sky.
It comes from the sky.
Polluted the earth and the water and all of that, yeah.
Well, all that atmospheric nuclear testing that took place in the Pacific is now coming back to haunt us, actually.
Nuclear testing, which went up and then eventually came down
slowly
anyway.
But surely it's happening, yeah. So that at the moment is giving us a lot of excitement because you know, there are quite a few people across Europe all looking at the same thing.
Currently?
Yes, we've actually found evidence of the cryoconite in Signy Island, which is near to Antarctica. And people have been working in Antarctica and found these small nodules.
Called cryoconite.
Cryoconite.
Cryocona.
Yeah, and it's highly radioactive. Yeah. And of course, the problem is that the glaciers are melting, so the cryoconite is getting into the drinking water. So people who live at high altitude are affected by drinking water with these fine particles that are radioactive.
So there is this connection between global warming, which caused the glacier melting, which then becomes water that flows down, that the majority or more people consuming, and therefore endangering that, making negative impact on the health of.
That's right, of local populations that live at high altitude, of which there are quite a few. It's surprising to find out just how prominent this is.
You mean this particle it's on the ground, also affecting plants and vegetables and things like that?
It could be. That isn't something that's really been explored, but it's to do with the impact on drinking water, because the melting of the glaciers is obviously increasing.
Do you think the research, you see sometimes, Professor, people think that researchers are always in the background. They have small majority of them, the proportion of them comes out to speak and all of that, but the majority of scientists actually work in the background. And of course, people in general, the public in general, sometimes don't really see the sort of contribution of the scientists, and even sometimes politicians ask, why are we pumping money into this research projects? Doesn't seem to be producing any tangible, result and things like that. But my question is, from your point of view, who have spent all this time in research as a professor, a researcher, in all of this time, would you assume that there is a clear linkage between a better living condition for human beings and research?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's one of our objectives now. If you get a research grant, you're obliged to inform the public. So there's more contact with the general public about the significance of the work that you're doing. After all, you're spending taxpayers' money, and they want to know that it's going to something that's worthwhile and is going to affect their lives. So we do have to, when we're reporting on a research grant, we have to say what we've done to inform the public.
In other words, if there are no research works, scientific research works, our life could have been even worse.
Absolutely.
We can assume.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we do get a lot of interest for the work that we do from the TV and from the newspapers, obviously, because it's the idea that there's a little bit of scandal behind it, which in a way there is, because nothing is being done, or the government's very slow to move on issues.
Right. And Professor Geoff Millward is here at Walailak University, supported by Walailak University International Mobility Fund. And Professor, is spending a short time here, but during his short time stay at Walailak University, he has met a lot of young researchers.
Yes.
I'm sure that those young researchers must have found you very interesting, very resourceful. So now I would like you to get into this. Young people interested in science and continuing with the sort of work that you've been working for the past 40 years or so. Are you confident that now there is a new generation of scientists in the UK and here in Thailand, in Asia in general, who can continue to do research that would then benefit the very well-being of human beings?
Absolutely. I think that's the function of good research. And the fact that young people are involved, I think that's absolutely critical. I mean, you mentioned the Mobility Fund. You know, I hope here that the perhaps PhD students, maybe master's students, are encouraged to go to conferences and present their work, and that they are supported financially to do that, because I think that's where the future lies. The future lies in what they have to offer, and the ideas that are coming forward from the work that they're doing.
You think the level of performance, in fact, you are not new to Walailak University, Professor. You had been here previously, maybe some years of absence from visiting Walailak University. Otherwise, you've been, in the past, you had spent some time here. So you must have a very good perspective comparing the British scientists and the Thai, particularly those who are associated at Walailak University scientists. What is your view on that?
Well, when I first came here 25 years ago, actually, I don't think the research was at the level it is today. I think the difference is absolutely astounding, really. Because everybody that I've spoken to is doing research, trying to publish, which I think is a great opportunity for the university.
And a lot of whom are young
that's right,
people, young academics.
Yeah. So there is a future there, isn't there? And they can accumulate their research papers, and that will give the credibility to the institution. The institution will benefit from the work that they're doing. I saw today in the presentation that was given that is it number 6 in the country at the moment?
Yes. We are ranked by Times Higher Education 6th in the country.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Among research-intensive universities in Thailand.
And to be called a research-intensive university is an honour, isn't it? And I think Walailak is working hard to achieve that and maintain it, become even better.
Any suggestions for maintaining it? Because maintaining it is quite difficult, and you've been in this area for a long time. So maybe you can offer a few suggestions on as to how to...
Well, not a few, but my one suggestion is international collaboration is a key thing. So being the Mobility Fund is a very important step forward in terms of bringing people here and also allowing your staff to visit them. Because staff that visit widely across the world will pick up new techniques, will develop new associations which can be of benefit to Walailak over time. I'm sure that's going to happen.
I'm very happy to hear you agree with us about having this Walailak University Mobility Fund, because, Professor, we believe very strongly that science, after all, is global.
Yes.
Scientific research is global. Unless you collaborate across national borders, it's more difficult to advance further the scientific research and findings, which come back to the very point about improving the living conditions of humans, which are all connected, by the way.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I think it's very important as well that you have, just to repeat, the young people here who are interested in science, technology, and they're trying to develop their careers through that. I think it's remarkable.
And you yourself must have trained a lot of young scholars, young scientists over the years.
Yes, even Thai people. We've had a couple of grants from the Royal Thai, or the Royal Thai government has given us a couple of studentships, and it's from that we did our work in the Pak Penang. Right, so the Pak Penang has been a focus for us. That's why I've maintained this interest in the university.
And because your research area, your expertise in marine and environmental conditions, one of the key problems that we are facing in this country is particularly, I would say, in the southern part of the countries like Nakhon Sitamarat, where coastal erosion is a big issue.
Yes, yeah.
And among other things, we are trying to grow mangrove, which have been destroyed, and we try to grow them back in order to protect the coastal area.
Yeah.
Would you like to comment on that, please?
Well, I think in the case of coastal erosion, we have massive problems in the UK. We are losing huge quantities of land in the east coast from storm activity. It really is creating a major problem. Something has to be done, and the government is very slow to do anything about it, indeed. So from that point of view, it's I think we share these problems with you. Yeah.
The other issue I would like you to focus on and share with us today, Professor, which is that being a university, we have two major obligations to fulfill, which is one is teaching and learning, and of course research. And people, sometimes we struggle to explain the balance, to get the balance right. At Walailak University, we have adopted the advanced HE United Kingdom professional standards as part of our efforts to benchmark teaching with the UK, hence international standards, because we also believe that we are a research-intensive university, but we can't neglect the teaching part of it, because in the end, these students coming from high school, and then we want to make absolutely sure that they get the maximum benefit from the expertise that our professor has. So we make sure that we have the right methodology of teaching for professor to make use of.
Yeah, this balance between teaching and research is a very delicate matter, and I think different institutions pursue this in different ways. In Plymouth, for example, if you don't do research, you're not identified as a researcher, then you will get a lot of teaching. Right, so then the researchers are freed up time to do the research, because it's very competitive from the financial point of view. Right, so that's the way we tackle it here. I'm not sure the way whether you tackle it in a similar way here, or where everybody is expected to do research.
Everybody, except in some areas like general education, and so otherwise we make sure that people don't lose sight of, while they have to be well trained in teaching and learning.
Yes.
The majority of them will have to make sure that they don't lose sight of their research, because that is very equally important. And also, as you mentioned, we receive a lot of grants from government, and one of the key requirements for getting grants, of course, is to make sure that our project benefit society, and so we have to continue to do it.
Yeah, it's a very difficult balance to make. One of the problems is that people feel that the only way you can get promoted, I'm talking about Plymouth now, the only way you can get promoted is by doing research. But the people who try to do research and are not particularly good at it have to do the teaching to help the research overall. It's a very difficult balance to make in terms of the career prospects of individual lecturers.
Now I would like to move to another matter, which is about the decreasing enrollment of students. This is something that we often hear now all the time, happening in the US, in the UK, in Australia, and in Thailand too, that every year, because the birth rate of every country's advanced countries seem to be on a decline, and therefore we get a lower number of students into university, and there's always a discussion among academics, particular people among the management people, because we rely quite substantially on student fees.
Yes. Yeah.
So when there is low enrollment, that would impact. And what is your observations on that? Being in the UK and have seen so many places in European countries and in Asia, in terms of the sort of a concern about decreasing enrollment.
Yeah, we face exactly the same problem, and not only that, but the very top universities, Oxford and Cambridge, are now able to take more students. The government has just unlocked that and allowed these very big universities to take more students. So it puts pressure on universities like Plymouth. It makes life very difficult indeed. But we have one big asset, and that is we're by the seaside. All right, so we promote the marine courses. The marine courses are oversubscribed every year because people like to go out on the boat. They like to go and meet the animals that come ashore and so on. So it's a very competitive thing. In our case, environmental science is suffering a little bit from a lack of uptake, but we're working very hard to maintain that. So we have the same sorts of issues that you have here. The birth rate in the UK is falling, but basically we hope that at some point it's going to turn around.
And what about new people coming to join universities? Is that in decline in the UK or
You mean staff?
Yeah, staff. Yes, that's correct.
Yes, in a way, it is difficult to get high quality staff because people who want to work in universities suddenly realise how, if they take a job up, they suddenly realise just how hard the work is. A lot of them come with a misconception that it's some kind of easy, laid-back thing just to give a few lectures and maybe make a grant application. But I'm afraid it's not like that at all. It's very cutthroat.
One other issue that sort of a concern among senior management is the inroad of digital transformation that has changed, transformed, some of the operations, and now we have AI, artificial intelligence. We have ChatGPT, who could do quite a few things that we never thought it would be possible.
Yeah.
So what is your view on that?
Well, we're probably in the same position as Walailak. It's happened so quickly, and of course it's now possible for students to have their coursework done on the internet. I mean, the whole thing has become crazy. So it's very difficult to decide whether a student essay or a student practical report has been written up by the student or by AI. So we are working on issues like that and trying to get a way of solving it. So we probably share with you some of the issues. So if you've got any advice for us, we're always prepared to take new ideas, that's for sure.
And I'm not sure, because I think in the UK, all universities, people are familiar with world ranking. This is another thing that has spread across the globe in recent years. I think in the past 15 years, research-intensive university have to try to get on the world ranking ladder.
Yeah.
And everybody has got some sort of pressure from respective government and parents and prospective students now take into consideration
Absolutely.
the level at which their future university would be considered in terms of the Times Higher Education, the UK-based, both QS and Times are UK-based. These institutions have great influence because they rank university around the world and all of that. And so what is your view from the UK, being a British person and very highly recognized both in the area of teaching and learning and also in the area of research, scientific research and all of that. What is your view on that?
Well, it is a very difficult situation. And we have a, what you might call a course coordinator who goes around the world. We pay a lot of money for him to go to Hong Kong, to Bangladesh, places like that, trying to recruit overseas students. And it's a very, very difficult task for us to keep that overseas contact going. And so we have to sacrifice this guy in terms of his commitment at home to his commitment abroad. And it's the only way which we can help to bring international students to Plymouth and to pay the international fee. That's the other sticking point, really, because the international fee is another 25% on top of the normal fee that the British student pays. So it's quite difficult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the financial side of recruitment is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about what happens here, but we have opened up a number of offers of graduates that can come, and they will be paid for from certain countries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What should we have? We at Walailak University, we have been working very hard on building, strengthening the postgraduate studies program to get more PhD research training going on and all of that. Would you be able to offer some advice in terms of expanding, building a postgraduate studies program at a university like us?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we have a PhD program which involves people sitting in on the master's courses, for example, right, and going to specific lectures which are geared towards their PhD topic. I agree with you. That's one of the things that we are trying to do, is to bring all PhD students up to the same intellectual level before they start their research work, or as a component of that. And I think that makes a world of difference to the way in which they pursue their work and pursue their career subsequently, because they're trained to speak in front of people, which is very difficult for a young person to be able to articulate their feelings about their research.
In Plymouth, you would say you have been successful in terms of postgraduate studies. Would you say that?
We have. We have. Because we have been able to apply to the research councils, the science research councils, the natural environment research councils, to get studentships. That's the way we've funded our research, is through PhD studentships. But in order to get that, you have to convince the funder that you're going to provide some education to them for their future careers.
Okay, Professor, I think we have covered some very extensive, interesting issues, and we appreciate your contributing to the program today. I'd like to, on behalf of the university, express my gratitude for your kind collaboration, advice to our staff, particularly the young ones. And thank you very much, Professor, for being here.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you.